What's up, Dolphins Nation? Today we're going to go and cover Mandatory Minicamp Day 2. Day 2. We're first going to hear from Coach Mike McDaniel, and then we'll go ahead and hear from a little bit from Zach Wilson, a little bit from Nick Westbrook, a little bit from Bradley Chubb, a little bit from Jalen Phillips, and then I'll tell you who. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you now. Bradley Chubb was the orange jersey of the day. I'll go ahead and pop up a picture so you guys can see it when you see the video. And then after that, I'll have some news and notes from the practice from Mandatory Minicamp Day 2, thanks to Omar Kelly of the Miami Herald and Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald and Isaiah Smalls. But let's get started with Mike McDaniel's press conference, and we will go ahead and go from there.
We're actually putting a poll of who's the one what we saw yesterday.
You want to end the suspense?
Yes, we need you to end the suspense.
Well, then why would you guys come to practice?
Trying to go home.
I gotta get ratings up, bro. Yeah.
Come on.
It's a cool one today. It's a cool one because it was earned for the last, we'll say, when was December 31st, 2023. Good? Okay. All right, let's keep moving. Yeah, no, it's I'm fired up for it.
You guys were wrong.
So, yeah, no, there was a lot of players that were eligible for it yesterday. Particularly, Bradley Chubb showed out when it mattered most, which was the end of practice, like the fourth quarter.
You have 3 new starters, or going to have 3 new starters along the offensive line. How can you and other coaches help kind of ease that transition?
Well, it makes the phase 1, phase 2 in the offseason program absolutely monumental. If we want any chance of trying to paint the picture to get reps that are against muscle memory relative to other places they've been, and to try to get a unified collective to move and operate the same way, they have to do a very good job getting themselves to the table so that each and every day the individual drills real and they get something out of it, and then practice, et cetera, et cetera. Every rep is critical there. So being on the front end of preparation in terms of what we want it to look like, and realistically being prepared to take advantage of every rep so the process can begin to get it to look the way you want it.
Looking at the safeties, how are you feeling about, Ashton and Ife? Has their performance surprised you at all since they've joined the team?
The whole crew has been a really, really cool group that's starting to really put their mark on the team in terms of that the modern day National Football League, 2-shell defenses and all the different ways that you can play those. Communication from the safeties is absolutely key, and I think both guys you mentioned, Iffy and AD, they both have led the charge in understanding what we're asking and putting together meaningful reps as that room grows. There's as heavy of competition on the team at that position, and a lot of guys really going after it. So that's going to elicit the best outcome for the Dolphins. So as the veterans, a couple of veterans of the group, they've led the charge for sure.
Yesterday we saw Tyreek catching passes in drills. I think that's the first time that at least we've seen him. Was that the first day that he's been able to catch an actual football instead of tennis ball?
Yeah, he's trying to get me to go against the process and shortchange when he's supposed to catch footballs, but we're being very diligent. He's pitching to do more and more, which is good. He's been active in the off-season program, and all while not catching footballs. So yes, it was early in the process, and he's towing the line in a healthy, good way of pushing that timetable of return sooner and sooner.
How's James Daniels coming along? We saw him get some individual, I think, for the first time.
That's a guy that has understood what his opportunity is here, understood how much we're counting on him, and understood that he was starting the process recovering from an injury. So he has done an absolutely fantastic job in phase 1, phase 2, which we absolutely needed. He couldn't just go through the motions when working through the process of our off-season program and tape and meetings and all that. So where he's at, he had a great day on the field yesterday, working in individual, and I could see what he's done in the last month on the field for the first time with my own eyes. What do I mean by that? I haven't got to see those drills. I've just got to see him in the meeting room and talk to him in the meeting room and seen how he's received information by the way he performed yesterday, which wasn't perfect at all by his measure. However, it was something very intentional that he's been things that he was working on that he knew were different from the places he's been. So I'm fired up for that part of it because I got to see, not hear, how he's used his offseason yesterday.
Obviously, he's played both right and left. Jonah is kind of in the mix as well. How do you decide which side those guys play at now at this point? Or is that something you wait until training camp?
No, so each situation's different. This one in particular, the two individuals you're talking about specifically, you always start with, all right, is there a reason? What's the motivating reason to put them on either side? And first and foremost, do they have a strength in terms of their comfort level and how they use their hands, feet, body mechanics, those types of things. Then once you've gone beyond that, then you can start thinking of different things from a coach's perspective that you can extrapolate in their game. Like, okay, well, typically the left side of the offensive line has to have rangier guard play, or vice versa. So you can think through those terms. Right now, for James, he's very capable of doing either side. But when you have a rookie in the mix, you kind of have to settle down the rotation and movement of people all over the place, so you can get a realistic evaluation and relative to all the players on the team, and allow a football player to play football and slow the game down. So stick Jonah at one position, okay? That kind of tempers down some of the multiplicity. And then once you feel comfortable with the people competing for jobs, you start rotating them more. And you're really looking for a reason to keep someone exactly one place. Otherwise, it's always better to have them versatile for any sort of scenario that you can't really forecast. But with rookies, we like to start in a spot and get them to grow from there.
How is Quinn Ewers doing?
The quarterback room in general, the cool combination between Tua with experience in the system, and then both Zach and Quinn kind of being newer. You're looking for a quarterback growth each and every day. What we ask, we have similar to the offensive line, we ask guys to run a little bit more. Is kind of a vague way to put it. Well, quarterbacks we ask to throw the ball a little earlier than they're used to, play with a little more anticipation. So that it plays right into Quinn's game. And I think him and Zach have done a good job of finding a new way to play aggressive in our timing, so more aggressive than they're used to each and every day. And sometimes there's a successful result, sometimes there's not, but the more and more aggressive quarterback play, which is aggressive to the primary and aggressive through the progressions, the more and more play we get that, now you're starting to cook with gas and develop your game. But where he's at, he came in knowing how to be fully responsible at the quarterback position and how to lead. You do that by knowing what the words mean and how to instruct people in the huddle. He's had command, and he keeps taking steps every day, which is what we want.
Michael, Jaylen Phillips, I'm wondering if his challenge this season is more physical or mental, obviously coming off the injuries, and he's got a contract situation this year. What's the big challenge for him?
So it speaks to the a challenge that each and every player on the team and coach has, where you have to focus on your intentionality and what you're putting your mental energy on is what you're going to get results out of. If you can't control injuries, you have to be disciplined enough not to think about it and think about your technique and fundamentals. Very, very adept. We have the appropriate person for that challenge in Jaylen Phillips. Having experience how to come back from injury better than you've.
All right, guys, there are the thoughts of head coach Mike McDaniel from his presser of day 2 of mandatory minicamp. Like I said earlier, Bradley Chubb was the one that wore the orange jersey, and now we're going to hear from Zach Wilson, and then Nick Westbrook, then Bradley Chubb himself, then Jaylen Phillips. Then I'll go ahead and tell you about some action that happened on day 2 of mandatory minicamp, thanks to Omar Kelly, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Zach Wilson. We're going to hear from Nick Westbrook, but we're going to first hear from Zach Wilson.
How you feeling?
Good. Hot out here.
Yeah, very hot. Cool. You leaving here for the summer, first of all?
Yeah.
Going somewhere a little less humid?
Yeah, I'm getting married this summer, so I'm excited about that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where are you getting married?
In New York. That's where my fiance's from, is out northeast.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I can't wait. Yeah, she's awesome.
Did you get to pick anything at all?
I mean, even if I don't know if I wanted to, it was one of those that she comes to me, what do you like better, this or that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really care. And then she's like, well, why don't you care? And I'm like, well, I just care about getting married. I don't care about the colors of this or that or the other, so we leave it up to her. But I'm excited for it. It's going to be awesome.
Smart man.
How much of a shock has this weather been, this weather change for you, Ben?
Yeah, it's different, but I feel like I'm getting used to it. Like, coming from Denver where it was dry and Utah where I'm from, it's dry. And here everything's a little bit stickier and a little more humid. But, I mean, it's great. I think you can get used to it pretty quick, and I don't feel like it's been much of an issue.
Mike has mentioned he's been trying to test you early on. Can you give yourself an evaluation of how you've played so far with this?
Yeah, it's different here for sure, and for a good reason. I think Mike and then Coach Bev and Coach Bobby Slowick do a great job of, teaching the anticipation and not being results-based, right? It's like when I first got here, it's like trying to find completions, trying to do how I normally play ball. But here it's like, no, we throw into space with time and anticipation. And so I think truly trusting what they're asking the quarterback position to do, you see Tua do it all the time, is you almost need to kind of drop what happens on a play. You need to just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to throw this ball with absolute conviction. I don't care what happens. I'm going to trust they're going to be where they need to be, and I'll learn from the mistakes. And as I get used to it, that's almost been more important for me the last couple of days than I would say maybe just sitting out there trying to get completions, because sometimes it's fake plays.
Mike mentioned earlier that with a guy with a strong arms, a lot of times you're throwing late just because of your arm strength. Obviously, timing's big here. Can you maybe quantify for us who don't play NFL quarterback the differences of trying to play as fast as this scheme asks you to play?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I've never been maybe told before at past places, hey, you're late. Even with a strong arm, it's not like, hey, you're late on this throw or whatever. But here, it's an entire step above, and again, for good reason. I mean, they want these balls out before our guys are getting to whatever their landmarks are, because we're throwing to space and we have so much speed that you're anticipating, hey, I got to trust this receiver is going to be there. and they do a great job teaching it and helping us understand that that's how this offense is run. And so every single day, that's what I'm working on. The focus is to not care about much of the result, but just to every day is my mindset shifting to just playing with conviction and just letting it rip.
You mentioned trust. You played quarterback, I imagine, your whole life. Like, how do you go about that trust factor, something different than maybe you've done your whole life?
Yeah, well, I think this is probably the most like routes on air I think I've ever thrown in my life.
Okay.
And, I do think you need a defense to an extent, but I think understanding how guys run a route is everything. I threw an interception yesterday because somebody came out a little bit flatter than I was anticipating, but I absolutely ripped it with conviction. The ball sailed over his head, but that's kind of that trust factor of like, okay, now I know he's going to run that route a little bit flatter, and I still have to throw it in that timing. If I would have waited, maybe I still would have completed it, but that's not what this offense is asking. It's to throw it on time within the scheme so that, these fast guys we have can catch it and get some yards after catch.
How big is that learning curve going from what you're used to this offense?
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, there was still this timing anticipation when I was in New York with Coach LaFleur and kind of the system he came from. I think things are still different here. And a lot different even from Denver. And I think, obviously every organization's got its things that they focus on, and I think that's the strong suit of this offense, is playing with anticipation. And so for me, it's just continue to work it this entire 40 days or whatever we have off, continuing just to work that. So when I come back, I feel like I'm not thinking about that stuff anymore, and now I can truly be focused on what the defense is doing and playing fast.
How different is offense? How much does that help, that familiarity with a similar scheme to what you're seeing now, and how much do you see different from those Jets offenses?
Yeah, I mean, there's some similarity for sure, but like still a lot of difference. And I think there's a little bit of retraining some of the habits that you've built and kind of the way you look at every play. And, things that I've learned a lot from that New York time that I feel like I can try and apply now. And so for me, it's going to be just progressively every single day trying to get better at what this offense is asking me to do.
You were able to hit some downfield passes today. So do you feel yourself getting more comfortable just practice after practice, rep after rep?
Yeah, totally. And I feel like I've had some flashes of like good plays, letting them rip early, whether a receiver slips or maybe it was the wrong decision or whatever it was. Like, I'm trying to judge myself right now based off of like, did I throw that play with absolute intent? Did I see space and did I let it rip? And if it was the wrong decision, I'll learn from that one and be able to apply it to the next one.
What about your general mindset coming from New York, the fishbowl? I don't have to tell you what that's like, being a high pick and now here. Do you feel like you...
All right, guys. Those are Zach Wilson's thoughts about mandatory minicamp day 2 on his presser. He's basically talking about his struggles learning Mike McDaniel's offense and the anticipation part of it. He's got the strong arm, he's got the mobility, but he's trying to learn the anticipation part of it. Now, guys, we're going to hear from Nick Westbrook.
And what have you been focusing on this offseason particularly? Is it more recovery? Is it fundamentals? What's been standing out?
The main thing is just getting used to the offense. I mean, it's a lot of different words. Like I just told him, it's like learning a whole new language. So, it's been growing pains. There's times where I'm like, I'm thinking I'm hearing a word and it means something else to me, in years past. So it's just getting rid of all that's in the past and just really buying into what we're doing now.
Like, a lot of the corners talked about their emphasis on trying to disrupt your guys' timing with physicality and rerouting. How does that, challenge the offense's perspective when the DBs are so aggressive and how
Yeah, it's huge. It makes us have to think a little bit extra, at the line of scrimmage. And it makes us really have to. It can slow us down, it messes up the timing. But then, if they're not actually being physical and we're expecting it, then we're off time and we're a little bit off. So it's been cool to watch them do it. It's been, good for us to learn from it.
Tell me about the opportunity of just making this team being a big part of it.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to join something special. I feel like there's been good momentum this offseason. I feel like we've shown it in the past. I wasn't here for it, but, there's been flashes of greatness, and I feel like there's opportunity to be a great team, be a part of a really great offense, surrounded by weapons all around me. Not around me, but just, you know what I mean. So, yeah, I feel like it's just a cool opportunity to be a part of something special. I'm just trying to find my role within that.
Everybody talks about Tua's accuracy. What was the first time you realized that the ball's there? Like, wherever I need to be, the ball's there.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's been a few times where, if I'm not on my on my business, or if I'm taking a false step or something like that, the ball is there and I'm either having to reach out or I'm not able to make it. And it's not that he threw a bad throw, it's in the right spot. I just need to get where he needs me to be.
Zach just talked a little bit about that, about how he's not used to that. They say he's a little bit late sometimes. The timing of this offense, has that been a challenge, and how you handle it?
Yeah, it's been an adjustment, something I'm learning through. I feel like there's been a few times where, bad habits that I've had have shown up and I've been late. But then there's been a few times where, it's worked out. So, yeah, it's an adjustment for sure, but I think it's for the best, and it's cool to watch it on tape when you see it done the right way.
After they said it's been a hard thing to keep Tyreek off the field. He's out there just already catching some passes.
Yeah.
What's he been to be around him?
I mean, he's an incredible receiver, right? But he's a great teammate. That's what I've noticed is he works his tail off, and then he's always just that glue guy, bringing the energy, even if he's not out there practicing. He's finding a way to impact the team, help the offense go, help get guys going.
Coach talked about how you've been battling an injury. How much do you feel like that has kind of set you back from getting incorporated into the offense?
Yeah, it's been an adjustment. I feel like confidence-wise, it's like slowly building that confidence in my injury, but also just like not feeling 100%, not feeling like myself. So I feel like it's been good progress. I'm happy with the steps I've made so far this offseason to get closer to that. I feel like there's still some work to go there.
So what's your plan for getting 100%?
All right, guys, there are the thoughts from Nick Westbrook trying to get used to a new offense, a new system, new wording. A lot of teams run similar offenses, but the wording might be different. So, and trying to get used to his anticipation. Now we're going to hear from Nick Chubb and then Jalen Phillips.
How do you feel to wear the orange jersey today after the long journey since that day at 2023?
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was dope, just see all the work come to light. Still got a long ways to go in terms of perfecting my craft. But, working towards it each and every day, putting my head down, getting to work, and to see that get acknowledged was dope.
Bradley, Coach talked a little bit about how you set a tone for practice because practice is something that you've been longing for a long time. Is this like maybe the most exciting you've ever been for practice football?
Nah, for sure. Not taking anything for granted, man, because I was, just as OTA's been going through, I feel like I talked to you the other day, like going through OTAs and like being on the side during OTAs is two totally different things. You know what I mean? When you actually putting in that blood, sweat, and tears with the guys, like that's how you bond, that's how you connect. So like sitting back last year, I could try to lead from the back, but it just wasn't the same. And just being able to be out here running around and like physically getting up on guys, dapping them up, like good job, I'm about to go do the same thing. Like that just brings a different energy, a different tone, and that's what I try to do this year, man. This whole offseason, just let guys know that this is not promised, you know what I mean? And each and every day you got to earn it. God is fortunate enough to put us in this position, man. So we just got to take advantage of it.
Brother, I don't think you guys are running full team drills together yet, but even just position and individual work, being on the field with Jaylen and Chop at the same time, what's that experience been like?
It's been dope, man. It's been dope because those two guys that put their head down and work and get to it, they don't take a play off, they don't take a rep off. And when you got guys like that push you constantly, you can only go up. You can only get better from that. So just having those two around, man, knowing what they can do on the field and seeing how they put the work in to get to that point too is amazing.
Did you guys speak at all last season about, imagine what is life going to be like when the three of us can be on the field on game day at the same time? For sure. Like sitting down with Chop, man, seeing when he started to turn it on, man, and I'm just smiling from ear to ear because I know the potential that we had. I know when JP got back, once I got back, it's going to be a lot of thinking for the offensive side to do. So I don't want to put no number on what we're going to do yet, but I feel like if we all stay healthy, all keep our heads on straight, man, it could be special.
Has Weave talked to you guys at all about a NASCAR package? Getting all three y'all on.
Not directly, but we got packages and stuff that he's installed that he hasn't quite said. Right now it's an X on the position, so he said, okay, we could put anybody in this position and do this and do that, but hasn't directly said it yet. But when training camp comes around and those, we start getting to the flow of things, we'll see the numbers pop up for each position and moving around and stuff like that. So it's gonna be fun.
What kind of role did you play for Chop last year? You were ready to get back into things.
Yeah.
And he was growing as a rookie. How did you take him in?
I was just his eyes off the field, man. Whatever I saw on the sideline, whatever I saw on the film, we'll sit down and watch it together. Not even just his film. We will watch just random DNs from around the league and just see how they approach the game, how they played. Because I feel like that helped me early in my career, just seeing how other people played the game, how they played certain blocks and stuff like that. So I kind of just went through stuff like that with them. And then during game days, just like I said, told him what I saw on the sideline compared to what he saw on the field, and kind of just, collaborated our mindsets throughout that part and just tried to help him play as fast as possible without really thinking.
You mentioned the relationship with Chop. I know Von was the guy for you in Denver early. Have you felt some of the principles that Von was doing for you?
It's crazy. It's crazy you said that, because I was just talking to Von and I just told him, like, bro, I feel like I got dropped into your shoes, like, completely. Like, Chop, he looked up to me as one of his favorite players coming out. I looked up to Von as one of my favorite players coming out. And how Von just kind of took me under his wing and showed me the way. A lot of how I operate now is kind of like emulate of what Von did, and how I saw he went about his process, and how I saw about his chef, his house, how he did this, how he did that, and I just try to emulate that and the leadership styles as well, put that into Chop, and not even just Chop, but the guys around. Just try to be that fun, loving, joyful guy, but when it's time to work, it's time to work. So it's been dope, man, just to see how life just it has a funny way of just circling back. You know what I mean? And I was around the same year 7. Von was year 7 when I came, and Chop was year 7. I was year 7 when Chop came in. So it's just crazy how life is a loop like that.
Culture change has been a big topic around here.
Yeah.
It was mentioned again this morning with Mike McDaniel. How has Mike McDaniel changed? Is he more stern? Is he more of the adult in the room this season? What have you seen from him?
It's not necessarily him changing. It's just it's more about us, man, about how we accept what he's telling us. Like, okay, like he may have a joking way of getting a serious point across, but it's up to us in the room. Like, okay, he might have said it funny, but at the end of the day, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're moving about it. And as a team, this is what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? So not much of him has changed. I would say the people around him and the buy-in of the players that he wants has changed. You know what I mean? And guys are taking accountability of how we wanted it to look out here. You know what I mean? Because he can only do so much in terms of the game plan, the team means, and all that, prepping and putting us in the right position. But we got to go out there and execute. So I wouldn't say he's changed. I would say the mindset around him and around the team has changed.
So is it a buy-in because?
All right, guys. There you see Bradley Chubb talking about his relationship with Chop, his relationship with Jaylen Phillips, what he did for Chop last season, and his recovery, and also talking about supposedly the change in culture and what that really means. All right, guys, we're going to hear from Jaylen Phillips, and then I'm going to read to you some notes from the actual mandatory minicamp day 2 in terms of action of what happened on the field.
What was the biggest challenge for you during your recovery process, and how were you able to overcome?
Which time?
Well, the most recent one.
The most recent one, honestly, I think the most difficult, I wouldn't even say difficult, but for me, just like finding the proper balance in my life. Just in terms of not stressing myself out so much, finding the balance of obviously being locked in, staying on top of the recovery, but also giving myself a little bit of grace and a little bit of break. Obviously went through a lot in the last couple of years, so I felt like I needed to take a little bit of time. What's up, bro? I felt like I needed to take a little bit of time to kind of regather myself, and then it allowed me to come back with just a lot more clarity and focus and just motivation. So I feel like right now I'm in a really good place. Feeling great, obviously physically, but also from a mental standpoint, just ready to get after it.
Tell me about the physical and mental of this season. The physical, the 2 injuries, the mental. This is a contract year for you. I mean, trying to do too much, trying to be. Tell me about that balance, mentally and physically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely just trying to stay focused. That's all you can do. Stay present, stay focused. Because obviously there's, it is a big year, so it's not like I'm going to ignore that fact. But at the same day, I can't do anything about 6 to 7 months from now. So all I can do is really take care of business on a day-to-day basis. So that's really what I try to do. No, I was straight. I mean, I've seen that narrative some, but the second injury, the ACL, was friendly fire. There's nothing I could do about that, you know what I mean? So, I thought I was in a good place coming off of the Achilles. That's still in a great place. I mean, don't feel it at all. And then even with the ACL, I trust my trainers and my trainers trust me. They usually have to hold me back some, but also this time around, just understanding the bigger picture. So I haven't been rushing anything. I feel great. So obviously I'll see me out there doing 7-on-7. I feel like I could play right now, but there's just no point in risking it right now.
I mean, I think we both play a big role for each other, just in the sense of like being there for each other during these times. Obviously, he's someone who's dealt with several injuries in the past, and so like ACL specific questions, I do ask him a lot because he's done 3 ACLs. So yeah, I ask him about different things, and he'll kind of give me feedback, tell me how I'm looking and stuff. So if anything, it kind of just it's some good like reassurance that I'm in a good place.
How does the ACL recovery feel compared to the Achilles?
Oh, it's way easier.
Yeah.
It's like night and day, honestly. Like the ACL was walking basically a week after surgery, and then was back to like day-to-day life function after like a couple of weeks. In terms of like coming back to play, I feel like I tend to heal pretty well. I obviously take really good care of my body and have good genetics. So I've been lucky with this process where I've been pretty much feeling the same for the last couple of months. The Achilles was brutal because I couldn't walk for like 4 months. And even coming back off of it, it's just there's so much explosion that's going on through the Achilles. So with the knee, it's obviously a stability matter, but once it's stable, it's just quad strength, getting that back. And we've been working on off me and Boone and the training staff and stuff. So yeah, I feel great.
Jaylen, you're so good at finding silver linings in adverse situations, and I'm curious from this whole process if there's something that you got out of it that maybe you couldn't have otherwise, whether it was like a technique or something or a mindset. Like, was there something that just kind of came out of this that was an overall positive for you?
I think it's like helped me kind of like recenter myself as a person, spend more time developing certain relationships that normally I wouldn't have been able to if I was still playing during that time. And just in general, it's just like another good reminder that even when you think you've overcome adversity, something's always going to come. So if anything, it was just very humbling, very sobering. And so, I think overall, with the Achilles, there was a lot other different silver linings. I was able to graduate, different things like that. I mean, even with the ACL, I was able to do a fellowship for pro athlete community, was interning for a real estate company. So doing some different things, allowing myself to kind of expand myself outside of the field. But yeah, I mean, silver linings in general, like I'm gonna be fine. Like it's not really anything long term that's gonna bother me. So it hasn't been that bad, to be honest.
How do you manage the narrative that comes with injuries? Whether you like it or not, people will put a label of injury prone after you've had a couple serious injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's just like any other negative comments that you see on the internet. So you just kind of have to ignore it. Like I can't feed into that. I know, for example, the knee. It's a friendly fire. Nothing I could do about it. How am I injury prone if I get speared in the knee? You know what I mean? Or even the Achilles. Like that's the first major injury I had in the league for real. Other than the little oblique shit I had, but. Yeah, I mean, you just hear the narrative and brush it off. You know what you can do, no matter what you do.
All right, there you hear what they talked about, basically, his recovery from both injuries and about the negativity of maybe him being an injury-prone player. That was Jaylen Phillips. And now I'm going to give you some news and notes from the day 2 of minicamp from Omar Kelly's perspective, and then I'll give you my final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. The Sock Wolves' experience remained quiet, the roller coaster. On one hand, he had a nice pass to Taj Wilson and a 20-yard completion to Tyreek Black, but he threw a pass that Willie Gay Jr. intercepted in return for a touchdown, and another that Isaiah Johnson nearly intercepted. He was sacked by Gay on another play. On Tuesday, Wilson threw 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 to Dante Trader Jr. and nearly another pass return for a touchdown if Ethan Bonner hadn't dropped a potential interception. Tua Tagovailoa threw his first interception of minicamp. Safety Fatumano Falu had the pick and remains a heavy favorite for a starting job. The defense, which worked on pressure packages, dominated the day. At times, quarterbacks barely had time to look down the field. Linebacker Jordan Brooks had a nice tackle at the line of scrimmage on a pass to Devon Achane. Second-year edge player Grayson Murphy, who also had at least 3 sacks over the past week, had a tackle for loss of Alexander Madison. And edge player Cameron Good had a sack of Quentin Ewers. Murphy missed all of last season with an injury. Good missed much of last season after a knee injury in Week 18 of the 2023 season. Rookie receiver Andrew Armstrong had a 25-yard catch on a nifty throw from Ewers. A day after a pick 6, rookie 5th-round safety Trader had a sack on a day that the Dolphins worked on pressure packages. UCF rookie cornerback B.J. Adams had a pass breakup. He will push for a spot on the 53 during training camp. The Dolphins ended practice with a wet ball drills for the rookies. Center Aaron Brewer was in control of the massive hose. In 7-on-7 work, Achane ran a quick hitch into the end zone for a touchdown. Brooks trailed him the entire play, and nobody was close to Achane. Later, Achane had a nice run behind the right side of the offensive line. Besides the interception and sack, Gay Jr. had good coverage on Achane on an incomplete deep throw from Tagovailoa. Cornerback Storm Duck broke up a long pass to D. Estridge, who had the ball in his hands before Duck knocked it away. Duck broke up a Tagovailoa pass to Nick Westbrook. Defensive lineman Matt Dickerson beat left tackle Patrick Paul for a would-be sack. What's more, Paul likely would have been flagged for holding if this would have been a real game. Linebacker Quinn Bell had a tackle for a loss on a running play. He has made several flash plays during the offseason program. Linebacker Bradley Chubb wore the orange jersey, which is bestowed on the previous day's standout practice player. Right tackle Austin Jackson has been cleared after November knee surgery, didn't practice Wednesday, and participated sparingly on Tuesday. The Dolphins are being cautious with him. He's good to go for the regular season. Receiver Tyreek Hill, working his way back from 2 wrist procedures, was catching passes on the sidelines and not participating in team drills. His agent Drew Rosenhaus has said he will be ready for training camp and the regular season. Guards James Daniels, who did some individual work on Tuesday, didn't work on the field at all on Wednesday. He's working his way back from a week 4 Achilles injury. His agency has said he's expected to be ready for the start of the season. Linebacker Terrell Dodson and tight end Tanner Connor nearly got into a shoving match. All right, that's the news and notes from Omar Kelly, guys. Leave me your thoughts down below and what you think of Mandatory Minicamp Day 2. And as always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and fins up. Have a good day.